In the Bible, people lived over 800 years because God gave us natural resources for living without chemicals or preservatives. 1,000 years later, we welcomed in the industrial age, and many foods became so processed that what we're eating today is killing us. Today, I want to share with you something very special. We call it the living secret. We're going to show you how to improve the quality of your life, so stick around. Let's get started.
Sugar and starch and this belly fat is the number one cause of aging and age-related diseases.
Eating too much sugar is going to promote fat storage, which is the weight gain that you hate. And so anytime you're eating a high carbohydrate diet that's full of sugars, whether added or natural, you are chronically spiking your blood sugar through the day, which chronically spikes your insulin level and also leads to inordinate amounts of inflammation in your body. Having chronically high blood sugar, chronically high insulin, and chronically high levels of inappropriate inflammation is the perfect storm that increases your risk of having a heart attack even at an early age. Eating a diet high in sugar is much more likely to give you hypertension than eating a diet high in salt. Eating a high sugar diet is going to increase your risk of ultimately developing type 2 diabetes. Anytime you eat a high sugar diet, you're increasing your risk of clinical depression or clinical anxiety disorders.
So what I get is that sugar causes multiple diseases in our bodies. But is all sugar bad? Let's see.
Added sugar is when a food has sucrose or high fructose corn syrup are typically the most common agents that are added.
Right.
And it's literally added to the food. So if you go out and get a jar of pasta sauce, they added sugar to it. That's not the sugar that you're seeing from the tomatoes that go into making that. It's the deliberate addition of sucrose or high fructose corn syrup to make it taste sweeter.
The body can also convert dietary fat and dietary protein into glucose and sugars. Okay, but typically you've heard of normal blood sugars, right? It's like, 90 to 100 is normal, right? Like, what that means, that's only really 1 teaspoon of sugar in your entire body. That's 1 teaspoon per all of the blood in your body. You have about 1.5 gallons of blood in your body. And all you need is 1 little tiny teaspoon. But that doesn't mean that it has to come from actual sugar. You can get that from eating, a piece of protein. Of the diseases out there right now, 6 of the top 10 killers included are insulin related. Not only do we have belly fat, we have Alzheimer's. That's called type 3 diabetes. And then we have actual diabetes.
I get it. Some sugar, not much, and definitely no added sugar. That's where the danger starts. Now, let's talk about the scariest thing ever, the big C.
They found that there was a significant association between all cancer incidents, and sugar intake, total sugar intake.
When scientists, medical scientists, researchers try to grow cancer cells in the lab, that's called in vitro, and we do that every day in the lab. We can grow cancer cells. That's no big deal at all. What do you feed cancer cells in the lab so that they don't die? What do they love to eat? Sugar. You feed them sugar.
I tell my patients, don't eat sugar. And my oncology colleagues say, why do you tell all of our patients that sugar loves cancer? And I say, what's a PET scan? We inject people now with radio-labeled glucose. And where does it go? To the cancer, because cancer loves sugar.
Wow, cancer loves sugar. Do you hear me? Cancer loves sugar. How can we get healthy and stay healthy? Cut out the added sugar. But there's one more thing.
If you look back through all of recorded human history, people have always fasted. We can start with Hippocrates, who is considered the father of modern medicine. He famously said, our food should be our medicine should be our food. But to eat when you are sick is to feed your sickness. Other people that liked fasting include Benjamin Franklin, who is world-renowned as one of the smartest men who had ever lived. What he said was very wise indeed. He said, the best of all medicines are resting and fasting. Resting, which is freedom from stress, relaxation, and fasting, which is designed to cleanse the system, which is what it used to be called a cleanse or purification. Well, those are the two best medicines. Not drugs, not surgery. Resting and fasting.
Sure, fasting is hard, but the rewards outweigh the struggle. Remember, nothing worth having comes easy, and it's up to us to take control of our bodies.
In the first 12 hours, your body's going to say, no food coming out. It's going to wipe up all the glycogen that is in your liver and in your muscles. That's a normal process. It's going to use glycogen. So your sugar level or your glucose level will be maintained. What about protein? You got plenty of protein in your body. What about vitamins? You got at least a month's worth of vitamins in your body. What about energy? How much fat do I have? Do you know that I have enough fat in my body to last me at least 40 days? So I have plenty of energy in me. I have about 50,000 calories stored inside me, which can be used. But I need to unlock those calories. They're in the form of fat. So you eat, you store in the form of fat, and that fat should be utilized now. Let's talk about cancer for a second. So the studies have been done. And if you fast a person only for 36 hours, that's it, and then give them chemotherapy in that state, they're going to tolerate the chemotherapy better. They're going to have less side effects from the chemotherapy. There's going to be death of cancer cells, and your normal cells are more resilient now, and you're going to get less death of your normal cells. Do you understand what I'm saying? So what happens when you're fasting, your normal cells become more resilient. So when you give the chemo, only the weak guys die, which is the cancer cells. Because you've strengthened through this fasting process your normal cells.
So autophagy kicks out the sick and diseased cells, but it also does more. And you can bet your doctor won't tell you about it.
There was recently a Nobel Prize in Medicine awarded for work on autophagy. And the reason is that this shows great promise in reversing things like cancer, Alzheimer's, and Parkinson, improving immune system, reversing degenerative disease, and it has also shown promise for anti-aging.
The most important function of autophagy is anti-cancer. Cancer cells are extremely hungry for glucose. They hog glucose more than normal cells, and sometimes they will starve the normal cells. Why would anyone want to consume a lot of glucose or sugar if they have cancer?
That's amazing, right? Fasting has so many benefits, so we don't have to worry as much anymore. How do I get started? And how long do I fast?
Water fasting is very simply fasting, not eating, and only drinking water. No coffee, no tea, no vitamins, no minerals, no gum, no salt. Nothing except water. I recommend taking vitamins and minerals and sea salt, and you can do some coffee and tea. I highly recommend you don't do tap water, okay? Because that has the chlorine, that has the fluoride, that has drugs in there, chemicals, pesticides, and all sorts of other disgusting things. I do recommend going into fasting, starting with intermittent fasting, and then slowly graduating so your body can adapt to less frequent meals to the point where you can do periodic prolonged fasting for 2 days, 3 days, and even longer. Because the benefits are over the top massive.
So now you know the living secret. For those of you who are sick with disease or just feel bad, you can apply this secret to your life. Take control, cut out the added sugar, and start a fasting routine. These steps will bring you a clear mind and a healthy mind and body. Trust me, you'll be glad you did. Thank you for sharing your time with us today. I use these secrets in my own life, and the benefits are amazing. And I hope they will be for you too. Until next time.